Welcome to Pathworking, the Tree of Life with the Alchemical Cabala. This week, we are engaging the path of Zayin, the path of the sword on the Tree of Life. The letter Zayin means sword, or sometimes weapon in Hebrew. It shows a letter Yod with an extension downward from the middle of the letter Yod, dividing the Yod into seeming two. And as it becomes two, it immediately becomes three. As the observer awareness is included, one, in its self-reflection, second part of the triangle, two, of itself to itself, three. On the tree of life, we see it connects the third sphere, the supernal sphere of Bina, the great mother. This is the cosmic womb, both inner and outer. This path connects that cosmic womb and great mother to the heart of the tree, which is Tiferet, the image-making faculty or beauty. In all things, great and small, I see the beauty of the divine expression. This is the number 6 statement of truth about the self from the pattern on the trestle board brought to us through Paul Case. Understand that our inner seeing is also an inner knowing. This knowing is a different order of seeing or vision, and it is the vision of the heart. With this vision, we see truth. Last week's key was the key of mastery. This week's key shows us the way to that mastery. Right. So this week's key is the lovers. The lover's key shows us the ideal relationship that we are to cultivate within ourselves. Specifically, it shows us the proper relationship of the trinity of consciousness that we are. Remember that the tarot keys are all aspects of you. Every figure in this key is a living aspect within you. This key shows the divine self as the sun, an extension as the angel. This angel, beneath and with the sun, is our superconscious mind, and shown here mediating between the above and the below. We see it here correctly positioned as shining above and over our subconscious and our self-conscious mind. Shown here as our inner Adam and Eve. Now, we seek to unite these aspects within ourselves. This is sometimes called the alchemical marriage. To see and to know the self are the same. One great teacher said, until we see the self, we do not know. Remember that every character in tarot are all aspects of yourself. Every figure in this key is an aspect of your being that can be known and experienced within. And we access this real experience through our regular practice of the core practice. Paul Case, in his book, The Tarot, A Key to the Wisdom of the Ages, points to the skillful use of this particular key in tarot. And that is the role of formulating skillful suggestions to our own subconscious to reflect to us and transmit to self-consciousness the light and wisdom of the higher self. That's what consistent immersion in this key does for us. It's interesting how we see this wisdom being recapitulated right now with AI. Specifically, prompt engineering. So if you don't know that, you look it up sometime. But if you use an AI search engine, what you're essentially doing is tapping into the mass mind by these large language models of the internet. And specifically, you're mining for wisdom or sometimes folly. And it turns out the difference in what comes forth has everything to do with the prompts that we feed it. So that's really, really interesting because that same dynamic is what we do in our own consciousness all the time. It's useful to remember that there is one consciousness. There is only one awareness. We all share in this one awareness, just like we see the sun here in this key. Sword of Zayin appears to divide this one into three, so that the one may know itself through us as we come to know ourselves and know ourselves specifically as we are in the mind of the all. This is the remembering ourselves as we have been created. So repeating, this key shows the ideal state and relationship between these different aspects of our own consciousness. So with that, let's get to the heart of the matter. Everyone, please unmute yourselves one at a time and share what occurs to you in this week's Key, the Lovers.
I noticed the white cloud really stands out just right there. So
right. Okay. Yeah, it's right in the middle, right in the center.
There's nowhere to hide.
Interesting. Okay, I like it. Yeah, that's humility, right? That's humility of knowing that we are as we are.
Just share real quick and just kind of noting this, seeing this card for a while, is that the the wings of Raphael, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the wings of Raphael are going beyond, like it goes off the card, right? You know, it's like the tips of the wings at all. And the fact that behind that is all the sun and just going with the along with like the color of the fact that the red being activity and behind that and then wings with movement. So it's behind that with the sun and just thinking of, you know, just the radiant beauty of Tiferet and all that, and just how all the action activity, you know, as he's presiding over them two, is there's love there. It's like love with action is really what's kind of coming up, and just your, you know, love in action and just how it comes about in most fascinating ways.
Yeah.
I feel like this card tells you how to handle every situation in your life just by this one card. Meaning that if something happens, or, you know, instead of the characters don't act independently, they act as a unit. And so the conscious mind, which is the male, looks to the woman, which is the subconscious mind, who looks to the higher self. So it's like this internal process that if you have a question, you need an answer, you just direct your inwardly to that subconscious, and then who turns into that higher self for that guidance. And then you get that guidance, and then that's how you handle the situation. And I feel like that's like, this could be used for anything, any time of the day, any circumstance. You'll always, when you learn how that works inside of you, it's like reaching a gold mine, you know, because now you're pretty confident because you know how to handle whatever situation arises. Like a cat just jumping on you. I'm sorry, my cat just came to visit, but anyway, I don't know what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Christina. That was really excellent. Yes. Yes.
We notice that the serpent is green. He's risen, or she, or it, has risen up the tree to the 5 pieces of fruit. So what are the 5 pieces of fruit but your senses, the 5 senses? And the Kundalini is raised through love. It's green. Green is the color of Venus and love. So the fruits are sitting on a green tree. So what we see is the raising of our abilities and our awakening to our memory of the uses of our 5 senses. So we talk about raising the Kundalini, opening the path to the inner self, and it's demonstrated on the tree on the left.
Lovely.
Happy little servant over there.
He's like smiling.
And, yeah, smiling. And discrimination, the sword, is how we get there. Things don't go well. We decide, well, we won't have that in our life anymore, so we cut it out. It's not we who have a problem. It's what we do. So then it's no condemnation of us. It's our activity, which all we have to do is change our mind, and our activity changes. And we see behind the cloud. But I always love the serpent in this. He's a happy little guy, and it's how we need to raise the Kundalini. People go, oh, I want to have all these things, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and all the rest. You already have them all.
Mm.
But you want to raise them up naturally, comfortably. So the phenomenology is not the attraction, it's the opening of the heart.
Mm.
That's the side bonus, is the phenomenology, but the opening of the heart. So that's why we see love opens up our senses naturally, and we remember.
Thank you, Margot. That's lovely.
And the 12 flames
Mm-hmm.
behind him, he's dealing with the world.
Mm-hmm.
I always think of the 12 astrological signs, which each one is supposed to be one part of our personality through which we glide during our lives. From lifetime to lifetime, we experience that. And even the planet Earth goes through the different astrological signs. Like we're in Aquarius, we were in Pisces for 2,000 years.
Mm.
So that stands behind him. And with the flames,
Yes.
12 flames is action, activity.
Right.
So
Yeah.
he's the guy of action, and he's working through her. This reminds me of to make them manifest through love.
Yes.
But she's got her eye on the creator.
Thank you for pointing out this tree. I want to bring this to everyone's attention. So if you look at the trees, understand that this is the same tree. Okay? There's one tree here. These are different aspects of it. This is our self-consciousness. I'm sure you've heard that teaching. I think it's an old yogi teaching. It's like, if you want the truth, you have to want the truth like your hair is on fire. You heard this statement before?
Yeah.
That's how much you've got to want to break through, to realize the self, to, like Margot, you got to want it with your whole heart. And when we do this, it lights up the whole tree. Our self-conscious is consumed with love. It's on fire with love. Note on the right side of the tree behind the self-conscious, how many triple flames are there?
12.
On the right side of the tree, how many triple?
Oh, the right side of the tree. 1, 2, 3, 4.
7.
7.
There's correct 7, which we know is the number of the inner lights and wheels, right? The stars. And how many are on the left side?
5.
Perfect. So these 5 are our senses, right? That are now ripening because they're on fire with the desire. They are bringing forth fruit within. It's the same tree. It's the tree of life within us, which is you. The key here, like Margot said, is love. What is it that we love? That one pointed focus. Okay, go ahead. The one last thing here, showing you how these are one tree. You see the roots going through the grass, just under the grass? They're connected. They share the same roots. So everything within our self-conscious and subconscious are connected. Okay, who else?
I was going to say something about what you just pointed out with the green land that they're standing on. So I didn't understand like why hers kind of has like a swirliness to it, and his is kind of flat and smooth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But maybe there's more movement on the subconscious area. But the peak in the middle is what really kind of bothered me, because I'm all about symmetry a
Okay.
lot, and I notice it's not symmetrical. It's like more to her side.
Mm.
And I didn't know if that had any meaning at all.
Okay.
To me, it just seems like it's closer to her. I don't know why I noticed it more at this time.
Mm. Well, we know the mountains in the background are always symbols of attainment.
Oh, okay. So you might attain more through the subconscious side first.
Hmm.
Possibly.
Okay. It's a good observation.
So just two quick things on that, just a quick discussion. One thing is one thing versus mentioned earlier is that just reminds me, don't make it very PG here, but it does remind me that that center area of like the beauty of Georgia O'Keeffe photography and just all the stuff there. But one thing I would stay tuned. I forgot where I heard it from, but it was an interesting observation talking about cognition and metacognition and, you know, our modern environment versus nature. And one of the things the speaker was pointing out, he's like just like some PhD neuroscientist person, but he was just like, yeah, we exist in a certain environment. If you notice around you, we're surrounded by right angles, yet if you go into nature, rarely are you surrounded by a right angle. There is, he's like, that doesn't exist really out there. You have all of the different abbreviations of it, but just perfect right angle. And he was saying, like, look in the room around you. How many right angles do you see? He's like dozens, if not hundreds. But if you were to talk about a natural environment, you know, that symmetry aspect and that perfectly measured aspect, it's not, there's a lot more nuance and it's harder to find, but that was just something that was coming up while focusing on that area.
Interesting, right? So to that point, yes, nature has its own flow, right? And something that seems to be unique to human beings is that we make these right angles. We make these sharp enclosures and spaces and angles. One point to that is that the more abstract that we get in the mind, the higher into the mind we go.
Yep.
Right. That's the whole philosophy of meditating on the Platonic solids, right? From the most simple to the more complex.
Right.
Is that the most simple geometric forms, we hold them in our consciousness, we start to vibrate at the abstract levels of reality, which is higher up the tree, right? Which we have the point, and then the vesica and wisdom, and then the triangle and the sphere of Bina.
Yep. Makes me think of a lot of I really enjoy like surrealist art, and then, you know, from like 1910 to about 1950, and just that that exploration into, you know, what is, I mean, there's so many wonderful examples of it, but just that exploration to our relationship to that shape and just what shapes are, and this kind of that deep dive, but which then gets you more immersed and deeper into the essence of it. So yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else? What does this key speak to you? Or what do you wonder about it?
I wondered about a few things. I was gonna say I don't have something concrete to share, but there's some things I'm definitely wondering about this one. The the white cloud in the midst really is curious because at first it kind of looks like a bit of a mystery. Like you can't, on the surface you would just think you can't see through it, what's behind this cloud, or
Right. Well, yeah, look more closely, right? Like the self-conscious where he's looking and where the subconscious is looking. The subconscious is able to see above and beyond the cloud. By their gaze, by her gaze. She's looking directly at the angel and the sun above. And the self-conscious is looking, it looks like, into her eyes.
Okay. So Raphael having that flame on his head,
Yeah.
it kind of implies that those 12 flames on the tree are like driven by the same like so
Yep. It's a great pickup.
we're talking about the will in the last key that we looked at, the chariot key. And that was about receptivity to this will. If we kind of follow the flow, we can see there's behind the self-conscious, there's the driving, there's the flames, which you get the sense that it's like there's I don't like to use the word force because it sounds like a separate thing from.
It's power.
Okay.
It's power.
Power.
Sheer power. The self is incomprehensibly powerful. And one of the roles of the great angels, right, in the tradition, the archangels, is to step down that power so that we can use it and commune with it and not be obliterated. It's like a nuclear power plant, right? You just don't plug your appliances straight into the to the nuclear fusion and fission going on, but you have these step down transformers, right? And the first ones are these great massive transformers that take all of that power and they step it down. And that's one of the roles of the angels for us. And our working with them and with the keys is we come into relationship with these great beings within us that assist us in our evolution and communion with the all, with the totality and the sheer power of the self.
So maybe we can say that the transmission would be that's the Trinity here, is the transmission from above through the self-conscious and then into the subconscious. And
yeah, I like where you're going with that. And it's interesting. You brought up the similarity between the flames on the tree and the angel's hair, right? The flames here, they seem, and you note that the arm of the angel is more fully exposed right over this tree. again, this is all one thing, right? It's one thing. The more we come into light and the more we're lit up, the more we grow, the more light we're capable of holding and being a channel for, right? Like our filaments get stronger, our nervous system gets stronger as we evolve, so we can carry and express more the light.
Would you say the mountain in the back, maybe as a symbol for our experiences and our attainments, let's just say experiences, would be like the clothing of the archangel above?
Well, that's
Is that-
interesting. That's an interesting thought.
Because we see the nakedness here, and then we see the clothing,
Hmm.
and the nakedness is only naked as a principle here in the sense, but the clothing is the experience.
Hmm.
And that's the elevation or the attainment or the, attuning,
Yes.
the lifting up with the wings.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, there's a lot of blessing going on here. This is the angel of healing, right? Raphael means God has healed. And what is it that we're healing? What is it that exactly that to be healed or whole, right? To be holy is to come back.
Remembering.
Yes, is to come back into harmony with that which we truly are, right? And not have all of these uh, schisms or fractures of identity. I think in I think in psychology we call this individuation, right? The coming back and
Separation.
yes, yes,
It's how we build. It's how we build the body. Everything
exactly,
organizes itself.
exactly. Yes, we come into creation and manifestation through division, not multiplication. Because the teaching is, I learned it from Paul Case. I don't know how old it is. It's pretty old, I imagine. Is that the one cannot be more than itself, so it can't multiply itself. So in order to appear to come into infinite, its infinite potential, it does through division. It's like the zygote, the egg. It starts to divide and divide and divide, like you just said so well. That's how our body comes into creation.
I was thinking about splitting the atom this week,
Okay.
and
How
how
much
it's an
power?
it's an explosive, exploding. The result is always an expansion, an explosive. We think of multiplying as duplicating something, but really we multiply but through division. When you split the atom,
Yeah.
it's an expansive, explosive, reproductive thing, really.
Right. Well, we
When you
release
said that,
the
Jesse,
power.
I was exactly thinking that exact same thing.
Hmm.
That was
Interesting.
wild.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And we think of it as destructive, but it's only destructive in the sense of our order, not in the elements. The elements can be reordered again or remembered again. They can come back together again. And I think of that as sort of the creative process when there's this union of opposites. It can be, or sorry, not union of opposites. There's the attempt to split the opposites, or sorry, splitting the unity of what it is. The you try to part it in half, but because the whole is embodied in the parts, you end up with a rearrangement of. I'm attempting to say something that is just not coming out.
It's
Well,
okay. It's all right.
The underlying concept would be nothing's created, nothing's
Yes.
lost.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah,
So it's like striking a match. You once had wood and this chemical, and now you have fire and smoke,
Mm.
and then
Yeah.
smoke. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just in a different form.
That
And
is
so same with the
perfect.
atom. You say you split it, but it's just now in a different form.
Yes.
that's right.
And that speaks to what I was pointing out here in the tree. It's the same tree, remember? As we ignite it at the self-conscious level and light it up, well, the interior blossoms.
Yeah, look what happens. Great. Yeah, lovely.
And
I
we return to Eden through this process.
May I add that the color violet, when we see it, is representative of spiritual power and truth. That's what the color violet is. So that's why all the mountains in the background are violet in many of the cards. So it's an indication of that. And he's wearing a 7-pointed crown, or
Mhm.
Raphael is.
Yes,
And
right?
Raphael is known as the healer.
Yes.
So healing is to bring is to bring the outer being back to the inner self. That's all we're doing, is getting to know ourselves.
Yes. Yes, and yes.
So
Perfect.
we need the experiences because we've forgotten how to do that.
Mm.
And therefore, when we start to experience the truth, we raise up. And it's also, violet is the highest visible color
Yes.
vibration.
Yep.
So you have because healing is just what is the point of the whole journey? In a nutshell, is to get to know ourself, our soul uniting with the self. And we really are having a great go at it, but we'll never get anything more difficult than we can handle. That's the grace.
Nice.
So here you have both in the mountain, which is in the earth, so to speak, and you also have it reflected as above, so below through Raphael. With healing comes truth.
Yes. And remember this. Go ahead.
With the red wings, actively.
Yes.
In action. It's not intellectual. It's visceral.
Yes.
It's the way you live, not the way you talk.
This is high up on the tree. This is our second path that connects us to the supernals on the path of return. So the order of vision and inner experience here is of a pretty high vibration in nature. And it's accessible. Persistence. These colors are so interesting on this key because it gives it almost a three-dimensional visual effect. Do you see that? It's just me, but like for me, the wings really, this robe looks like it stands out in front. It's really lovely.
Great contrast.
yeah, a lot of dimension to it.
That's why the white stands out so much because of all the
Mm.
color.
Mhm.
I was like Nancy, you like read my mind. That's I was just about to mention real fast that the it's like that cloud, that white cloud in the center really helps just add that extra layer of contrast where it's three-dimensional. I was actually gonna just mention real fast, or just kind of point out real fast on the 'cause there's something that came up earlier, just looking at the cloud itself, because it's kind of that, well, two things. One, I'm just noticing that the hair on the man, like that's white, and it kind of made me think about the hair on, like I noticed, I'm like, oh, it's because it's a lot of the streakiness with the black,
Mhm.
but like he has white hair, and it was making me think of the hangman, right?
Mm.
Or the
Mhm.
suspended man there, and then
Mhm.
just with the hair, and then with the illumination around it. But that's more of a side note. But basically, with the cloud, it just kind of popped out, and the kind of the word like ideation and ideate and imagination and all that was just
Mm.
kind of coming up, and then noticing the color, it being white, where it's thinking of, oh, Kether, divinity,
Yep.
all that. And so just it, I mean, there is, I mean, I would say just as we dive deeper into it, I mean, there's so much love in this card. And if I could say, and just the amount of communication between, it just seems to me, for the with the conscious to the subconscious to Raphael, and all that, and just how that cloud in the center, just there's something about the something just something pure and divine, in the looking forth and connecting activity with all that. But just, yeah, just circling back to just the cloud really kind of drawing the eye, and it's kind of just going to from one tree to the next, and then to Raphael's been really, really wonderful.
I was looking at their posture. I haven't really thought about it. They both have their arms out and their hands facing. Okay. So that's a level of trust, and it's lack of fear, vulnerability, totally vulnerable and open. I mean, if you stand like this, you're not defending yourself. They're in a state of truth, and they don't need to.
Very nice.
Relaxed. The way on the strength card, the lady on the strength card is with the roaring lion, but they are open. The heart is open, and they're vulnerable, and they're okay with it. No secrets.
Right. They're not keeping anything from each other, are they? Like nothing. They're like, here I am.
Yeah,
Nothing hidden. It's like, which is real love, right?
it's
Total
quite refreshing.
acceptance. Right.
It's
Right.
quite refreshing.
There's
Yeah.
no games going on here, right? There's no shenanigans and facades being, no airs being put on.
Yeah, quite lovely.
Hmm. Anyone else before we move forward?
Just gonna, I guess, just last little share, just with regards to the openness and just that open, loving, vulnerable expression. This kind of makes me think of something that came up recently in a conversation. It's like the nature of expression, and and what that is, and it's just the ability, like, what is instinct, and when you look at, okay, what is instinct, and instinct is that place, of action, that's like, well, what's inhibition? It's like inhibiting that instinct. But then when you talk about and then expressing in modern terms with modern words in a respectful manner, just having that, you said, refreshing, authentic expression, and just, how that relates to tapping deeper and deeper and deeper within and feeling deeper within and not going through 55 levels of filters, but instead just that deep, like looking at this, just it has this feeling of like a deep level of authentic, honest, true, loving expression, and allowing that. And so the conversation with the friend a couple of weeks the other day was just along those lines of, that, in our modern world, and having, it's how rewarding it is when you encounter people that are sharing from that space. You can feel it. It's not just oh, it sounds nice words. Like there's a feeling of like this person feels more grounded and centered and present and all that. And it's like, well, what's going on? It's like, well, there's one of the things was they're authentically expressing themselves in that moment, and you can feel that it's coming from that loving, genuine, open, honest place. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Easy. That's just beautifully said. Yes, exactly that. And we recognize that because it's from the self. Right?
We allow the self to speak through us. When we look at something, instead of using all our concepts about it, take a minute and look and say, what am I really seeing here? Creation, creator, God, whatever you want to call it. Show me what I'm really seeing here.
Yes.
Share that with me.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for the reminder, Margot. That's real humility too, right? Of recognizing it's like,
I don't know all the answers,
yes, exactly.
but if I can get them from inside, that's lovely for me. And everyone is different. Every being on this planet is different. So we each have to see for ourselves what works for someone doesn't work for another. We have to allow for that. But here we are open in this card to hearing the word of truth. And then that is why you can let down all of your guard and be okay and feel protected in that truth, because that's the only thing that protects us is the light.
Excellent. Okay, let's see here. Choose. So
couple points on the symbolism that weren't mentioned. I think the how the 12 flames have 3 points. I think those relate to the 3 deacons of each sign. So there's like 36 different personality types. Just thought that was kind of, and and it's the sense related to that is the sense of smell. I think like how we can often smell, discern, like, oh, that doesn't smell right, type of thing. So I thought I'd share that.
thank you for bringing that up, Richard. Exactly. This is the sense of smell, right? Discernment.
Gee, that doesn't smell right. That's how we express it. Yeah.
And smell is our direct breath connection to the divine breath, right? The pneuma. And Raphael is the archangel of air, right? In the East.
Just have a quick fact on that, or small thing. Regards to smell, I think it's 70% of our memory that comes is from our olfactory senses. Like that's the most powerful out of all of our senses. The most powerful sense is our sense of smell, and I think I forget, it's like roughly like 70 or 75% of that is from smell. So it was just a cool little fact. So.
All right. So, all right, we're going to move forwards here. So our subconscious, which we know in this key is Eve, right? It's our inner Eve. And Eve, we know, is the mother of life. Our inner Eve is amenable to our suggestions that it receives from the subconscious mind. We benefit to be awake and skillful in the use of the thoughts and the words that we speak about ourselves, both within and without. So who recalls in the tableau, what is the key that focuses basically all on the outward appearance and says, this is it, this is reality?
The devil, deceiver.
Yes, thank you. So let's look at these together. Let's do this. It's a very, very enlightening combination of keys, right? Anyone wish to comment on this combination? Just what you see or what occurs to you here?
The truth is inside.
Pardon me?
The truth is in the inside. The feelings and the heart and
Lovely. Okay.
I
Who
see the
else?
flames behind the man in both places, and
Yeah.
fruit and green behind the woman. Never noticed that before.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Nice.
This we've touched on before, but just with regards to the so it was like 1990, the Jacob's Ladder, that quote, the angel's quote, and I think I have it here where it says the only thing that burns in hell is the part of you won't let it go of life, your memories, your attachments, they burn them away, but not punishing you. He said they're freeing your soul. So the way he sees it, if you're frightened of dying, you'll see the devils tearing. Yeah. If you see you're frightened of dying and you're holding on, you'll see devils tearing you away. But if you've made your peace, then the devil's really angels freeing you from the earth. It's just a matter of how you look at it. That's all. And basically the thing of what we think of as our devils are actually angels that are helping. And then from there, you start being revealed more and more and more of the actual truth. And then all's good. But it was along those
Thank
lines.
you.
So
Thank you, Easy. Yes, that's a
Sure.
beautiful line in that movie. It's so compassionate. I think it's his chiropractor who's telling him this, right?
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, it's been a while.
Which is
but-
profound, right?
Right.
'Cause we're talking about the spine here and the
Mm.
powers that
Mhm.
run along it.
Yep.
Anyone else want to comment on these two keys together? It's interesting that both total 6.
You beat me to it.
They do.
Okay.
Different ways of looking at the world.
Yeah.
One, all you see is all there is, and the lovers is the awareness of what's going on within you.
Yes.
Yeah.
The inner and the outer. But then again, you have the little white goatee, God, because there is nothing but God and creation.
Right. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one.
Right? So here we are in the deceiver, rather thinking, and that all that you see is all there is. And we have Saturn in his hand, which is a crystallization. And it's all of the experiences each of us has to go through to arrive on key 6.
Yes. So,
and then I'll go back.
Very nice.
Just a quick small observation in regards to the actual letters themselves. I just couldn't help but smile where it's like, oh, with the the levers, we see the letter right here where the Zayin, where it looks just, it's that one, but you look at Ayin on the deceiver key and it's got the split of the two. It's like, oh, there's the two and the one, and just playing around with that. But
Good pickup.
Yeah.
Good pickup.
Also between the letters, besides they both add to 6, the letters, Zayin is 7 and Ayin is 70. So they're
70.
really both.
Yep.
So it's like they're both 7 really in a way.
That's cool. Yeah.
Very cool. So, what I see here in short is where the attention is. That's the shortest difference, or the most, like, where is the self-conscious focused here? and where's the subconscious focus? She's kind of tranced out here, just looking out. Very tranced, right?
And look where the mind is, in the belly.
Yes, exactly. Right. In this lower part of our incarnation, right? And up here, the awareness is raised. It's higher, right? It's a higher vibratory level. What's interesting is it's all expressions of love. All of it. Just one is less. The deceiver key is just a less understanding of the whole picture. Right here, we're just taking the surface appearance of things as all there is, which isn't bad. It's just not the whole truth.
It's very earthbound, as you see. The deceiver is brown.
Yes.
His
Very.
wings are brown and
Yes.
earthbound because
Right.
the picture is very earthbound
Mhm.
compared to above the Raphael's wings of action, but of healing. Actually, I would say, the red represents healing of Raphael but in the inner self, the
Yep.
healing. Yeah.
So
and it
it's
leaves
interesting.
a huge white cloud compared to a
Huh?
little white beard on the deceiver card.
Right.
It's still there.
So in the Western tradition that we use, Raphael is the ruler of Mercury, right? Or associated with the sphere of Mercury. And on the tree, this connects Mercury to the sun, right? The deceiver key. But it's interesting that Mercury's right down here in the gut. But if we raise that, if you imagine those flames going higher and higher up the central column, then we get this. We see the transformation. One thing you can do with the keys when you work with these is you can imagine. You see the characters come to life for you. Imagine Eve up here comes down and takes the chains off of Eve down here. And Adam does the same thing. And this light turns around, someone like the star rotates to where it points upwards. And you can see that this becomes one thing. Just saying, you can experiment with this. Remember, it's all one thing, right? It's one thing.
On that deceiver key with the gut, the lower chakra is very related to earthboundness.
Yes,
sensual.
absolutely. Right. These are
And-
the reproductive centers, right, of our animal nature and the animal we're incarnated in, right?
you move higher on that chakras into the solar plexus,
Yep.
the heart, the throat, and then of course
Yes.
crown
Yes.
chakra, and you
Right.
get the spiritual experience of, finding that self and
Uh-huh.
Kundalini, all that there.
Mhm.
I wanted to say one thing earlier,
Mhm.
those 12 flames, definitely the different personalities, and each one of us is supposed to have all of those personalities. But
Nice.
I heard from the other person that they said there's actually 36 there, which is really cool. I never knew that.
Yes, there are, because they're triple flame. That's an excellent point, Rachel. And you're right. These are the 12 aspects of the zodiac, which we all have within us because we live within this and we're the microcosm of it. And the Trinity expressed through each one are like the three gunas, right? The three qualities.
The three gunas.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Excellent. Let's see here. Where's that? All right. Yes, the deceiver key. What's shown here is the exact same Trinity. It's the same Trinity. The difference is one of knowing. I think Paul Case, I love Paul Case. I don't know if he's referring to a psychologist, Jung, or someone else, but he says basically that the deceiver key for the self-consciousness is simply the unregenerated intellect. And what that means simply is one that does not acknowledge or recognize that there is a power greater than itself. It's that simple. Until we know, and we either come to it through humility and grace, or life will definitely bring us about the experiences to know that there is a greater power than our intellect. Once we do, we can start seeing past and through the appearances of these things. And in regards to this combination, I love the quote from Carl Jung, where he says very wisely, one who looks outside dreams, and who looks inside awakens. This is a good summation for me of these two keys. One is just focused on the outer world as if it's the source, when we know it's the reflection, appearance. And when we look within, we start to wake up to that reality. All right. So your homework for this week, it's going to be simple and a little bit more involved. I want you to take a little time and I want you to make a list for yourself of suggestions that you would like to bring forth or bring about for yourself. Make several of these, okay? Put it in your notebook. And then make them simple and speak them from your heart. Then I want you to prioritize them. Like, what is it you really would desire the most? All right. Now, reviewing the core practice. So for the core practice in Alchemical Cabala, we take the physical key and we hold it in front of our physical eyes as we're going to sleep, and we just look at the key. That's it. You can let your mind go wherever it goes as long as it's inside the confines of the imagery of this key. And then we set it to the side and we hold in our knowing and our inner vision that key as vividly as we can. If you can see it vividly, like visually, inwardly, wonderful. If not, just use your knowing to know what's in the key and see that. You will benefit tremendously from consistent use of this. And this week, what you're going to do a little different is as you're doing the last part of your visualization of the core practice, I want you to focus on Eve, your inner Eve. Okay? Really focus on her right here. And I want you to have an intimate conversation with yourself. Tell your own subconscious as you are looking at this imagery within you how grateful you are for her, all that she has done for you in your life together. Thank her for all that she's ever done, and especially for reflecting the divinity within you to you. Tell her in your inner conversation that you wish to cultivate the very best relationship that you can with her and your higher self on all the levels of your being. Basically, speak to yourself like you would someone that you love deeply and care about deeply. Speak with kindness and honesty. I assure you, your subconscious will be thrilled to hear this from you. Our subconscious is aware of all we do, think, and feel all the time. Acknowledging her, this aspect within us all, no matter what our gender incarnate is, allows us to and helps us integrate the major parts of our own psyche and being. So we tell this aspect as we see it inside that we love them and that we wish happiness and wholeness for them. And for our whole self, what we want is the best life possible. Really tell your inner Eve that you want the best life possible for your whole self in this incarnation and in all your adventures together. So each night after you've expressed this appreciation to your own subconscious in the imagery, then state what it is you would like your subconscious, your inner Eve, to assist you with. And this is where you will pick one suggestion or phrase that you've made a list of previously. Make this very simple, okay? And from your heart. Here's just a couple of examples. This would be like, for me, what I would say after telling my subconscious how much I appreciate them and love them. So these are just simple quotes. I remember myself as God created me. Or my true self guides me through my subconscious. Or just simply, I remember my true self. Do this while you're looking at the key on your inner vision and speak from your heart. This will carry much more weight within you. And then as you're completing this, the inner visualization, I want you to draw your awareness and stare deeply into the eyes of the subconscious female of this key. Just place your awareness deeply as if you're staring deeply into these eyes. Do it in your knowing. Your subconscious will know that you're doing this. and look and ask to see the light of the angel through her eyes. Just allow and expect that light to be received. Trust that the one life that has brought you here now will bring you much further. The key is simply love. Follow within that which you love. Thank you all for your light and grace. This concludes our outer class on the path of Zayin, the Alchemical Cabala. Floor is now open for any questions or comments.